So I had occasion to speak at a boys and girls home where there was tens of kids there who had been removed from their homes for one purpose or another. It wasn't a secure facility, but they were removed from their homes. Most of them with no fault of their own. And I had the honor to speak to these kids who were sitting in a room much like this, and I could just see the wheels turning inside their minds. The wheels turning and thinking, poor me, what did I do? Or more distressing, I have no shot. So I spoke to them for about an hour. I shared with them a bit of my story. More importantly, I tried to share with them that they had the opportunity to do whatever they wanted to do. And as bad as it feels to be removed from your home, to be separate from your family, to be sitting in a home with a house parent who's not your parent, that 20 years from now, none of that would matter if they made the choice that it wouldn't matter. And I thought I hit a home run. They lined up to see me, literally lined up to see me. 10 kids afterwards, teenagers no less, lined up to come talk to the secretary. And in my head, I'm saying, yep, I did that. I reached those kids. And now they're coming up to thank me for changing their lives. First little girl came up, maybe 14, 15. Actually looked like one of my daughters. Hair immaculately braided. That doesn't look like one of my daughters when I braid it, for the record. Pretty little girl, big brown eyes. She walked up to me and I said, "Can I help you?" This little girl then pulled a little piece of paper out of her pocket. This side of the room will know what that paper said. P.O. Box 244. For this side of the room, that's the P.O. Box for SCI Graterford. I froze when I saw that address. But I didn't know what was going to come next, and I was not prepared for what came next. Because that little girl looked up at me, and she asked me a question that caused me to stop dead. You know what question she asked me? She said, "Do you know my daddy?" Do you know my daddy? I'm a man who believes in data. I'm a man who believes in research. I never, ever talk to a group that I don't spit out 8 million statistics about incarceration, about the impact it's had on communities. But at that moment, none of that mattered. And perhaps for the first time in my career, things became very clear to me. This field, our field, it's not just about incarceration. It's not even just about rehabilitation. Our field and where it's at today is a logical consequence of bad policy decisions over the past 30 years. But we don't have the luxury to look backwards and whine about bad policy decisions. But our numbers, our corrections field today, is also a logical consequence of your bad decisions. Of your unwillingness to do the right thing. Of you making a decision that whatever you were doing, whatever was in that bar or on that corner, was more important than that little girl who's sitting in a home because her dad's in prison. So I spend a lot of time criticizing policy. I spend a lot of time criticizing even decisions I've made. But at that moment, when I did something I rarely do, which is stop, it struck me that we all need to stop. And it really starts with you. Stop the madness in the streets. Stop. Stop complaining. Stop whining. Stop saying it's unfair. Stop saying that we're in poverty so we have no chance, because that's crap. Because every one of you knows somebody who came up in the same circumstances and are successful today. We heard Kenya Mann Faulkner talk earlier. Same circumstances. She's the chief counsel at University of Cincinnati. Stop blaming others. Stop blaming people for treating you like you're less than human, and then come in here and get on the block and get in the yard and act like you're less than human. It starts with you. And then let's talk to the policymakers. How about we stop? How about we stop using the facade of public safety to enact bad policy? How about we stop saying, oh, this is going to make us safer, and not measure it, and not identify an outcome, and then look the other way when the outcome is that we have people who come out worse than they came in. Let's stop that. Let's stop trying to get elected by being tough on crime. Let's stop focusing on the next election and start focusing on the future of our children. And how about our community? First of all, let's stop relying on those politicians who are relying on the next election. How about doing something for ourselves? How about standing up? How about mentoring? How about allowing our children to have a relationship with their father, even if their father's at SCI Graterford? And how about the fathers fight for that relationship? How about you not look at the barriers, but look at what your job is? Look at what your responsibility is. Own the success of your child no matter where you're at. That's all our responsibilities. And how about us? Why don't we stop calling ourselves correction unless we're going to correct? And understand, as you're cheering, part of correct means follow the damn rules. Don't forget that part. Amen that. It starts with that. But then it goes beyond that. Are we going to have the courage as a field of corrections, as the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, or as a correctional employee to say our job is to create an environment where someone can come in prison and get well? Do we have those guts? Because when you say that, everybody looks at me sideways, like, what do you mean, come to prison and get well? But I'll tell you this, look at the medical field and look at the corrections field. and look at life expectancy over the past 20 or 30 years. What's it done? Gone up. Why? Huge body of research in medical, huge body of research in corrections. In medical, if the research says that's not a good practice, change it. They change it. In corrections, when the research says that's not a good practice, we say, well, we've kind of always done it that way. In medicine, as medicine has evolved, surgeries have gotten more precise. More precise meaning less damage. Isn't that a blueprint for us? Can't we get more precise? And where does that start? In the front end of the system. It starts at making good decisions. Number one decision is public safety. If you're out there hurting people, killing people, welcome to prison. You belong here. And if you want to come here and change your behavior, great. And we want you to get out, and we want to structure the environment so you can be successful. But if you're an addict, some piece of this response has to address that addiction. If you're mentally ill, some piece of that response has to address that mental illness. And I don't even want to begin to talk about trauma. And the trauma of a little girl removed from her home because her dad wanted to be a knucklehead and her mom wasn't there, and she's sitting in some home outside of Reading in a school district with none of her friends, with very few kids who look like her, asking the Secretary of Corrections if he knows her daddy. It's time to stop. All of us, every one of us, stop and think. We have some brilliant academics in this field. We have some brilliant academics in this room. If we were to get together and put together what a system would look like, that would be predicated where the risk and the action combined yields a response from the criminal justice system that is equal to the action itself, but likely to get a result at the back end that individual is less likely to commit a crime, why aren't we doing that? The simple answer is we don't have enough courage to do it. Because if we know the answer and we're not doing the answer, what else is the other answer? So it's time for us to stop talking about it and start being about it. Martin Luther King, one of my favorite quotes from him, in part talks about that progress does not roll on the wheels of inevitability. That means sitting around, waiting for the system to change when you're not changing yourself. That means sitting around, waiting for policies to change when you don't have the guts to push good policy. It means as a community sitting around, waiting for somebody in Harrisburg or DC to fix the problems you don't have the guts to fix yourself. Or a correction system that's not getting the outcomes you want and doing nothing to change those outcomes means it's not going to get it. But the time is now. And the place is here to start this. We chose Graterford for a very specific reason. Number one, staff bought into the success of the offenders. Empower offenders to allow to have all these lifer groups. There are very few prisons in the country that would allow inmates, lifers no less, to develop programs? Are you kidding me? So recognize how lucky you are that you're at SCI Graterford. And recognize that the staff at Graterford benefits from the stability you provide by being empowered. And if we take that model, we take a model where we're solely focused on how we create outcomes, and that outcome specifically is less crime. And we start that in the community with the children today who are growing up without fathers, and we take our time as individuals and mentor and read to kids. An hour a week, an hour a month, an hour a year. That's where we start to stop. My name's John Wetzel. Thank you, Graterford.